Yeah, we are going to learn negotiating some tactics today. We're going to talk about different situations. We're going to talk about different avenues on how to best handle them, traverse them, set up the negotiations from the front part so that you have the highest chance of success in the long term. This is actually Ignite class. We can talk about a lot of the stuff that's in there for negotiating, and it talks about the different points of negotiations. We want to look for nonverbal cues, prepare the negotiations, like setting the groundwork for doing so. We want to find out how to position ourselves a little bit easier. So what that is positioning is, what stance are you going to take? What ground are you going to stand on? Which direction are you going to take this? And having an outcome or some kind of mitigated response, knowing the strategic chess match. Where are we going to take it next? What happens if they say no? What happens if they say yes? These are all things you need to think about. Never just looking at a situation one point of view. You want to look at it from the multiple spectrums of what could happen. Where could this go? Where could this change? Where could this lead to? What could I inevitably have to handle later down the road due to something along this line? Right? So we're going to do it situational based, because I believe that's easier for some people to learn with, is how you have situations and you can apply the negotiating tactics directly to those situations. Now, starting with each deal in its own stands alone, right? Everything's going to stand on its own. It's going to have its own merit, its own volumes to it. So you need to find different ways of handling these situations. Typically, we've talked about, hey, look at that. Jason's with Billy Neal. I'm jealous. Typically, when we're working with a contract, what are the things that we can negotiate?
Seller concession.
What was that, Eileen?
The seller concession.
Okay, seller concessions are definitely something that we can negotiate. What else?
Price.
Sales price. Okay, fantastic. A couple other things.
Home warranty, transfer fees for HOA.
Okay. Home warranty, transfer fees, HOA, perfect. What else are you thinking?
I'm just a little bit late to the call, but earnest money and close of escrow.
Earnest money, close of escrow, absolutely. Big points there. One more thing we're looking for. Binzer, thank you, Laura. Repairs and conveyances. You know, conveyances I'm going to slide in there because it's not really something we talk about, because a lot of times we try to keep everything as secular as possible. When you see conveyances, a lot of us don't realize that the refrigerator does not transfer with the sale of the house. It's an agreed upon conveyance. It's personal property that we're allowing to go with the sale, or we're asking to go with the sale of property. That does not, by contract, dictate exactly what's going to happen. Now, all of you, I hope, have read this. What is this?
The contract.
The contract. Is it weird that I have a copy on my desk just at any point and it's actually highlighted? Highlighted? I don't know. I failed geometry. So, but what I want to point out to you is section 1G, fixtures and personal property, is what you need to know for your clients to serve them best, to what stays in the house, what goes with the house, what can be negotiated with the house, right? Is a TV mount go with the house?
Yes.
Why is that?
It's a fixed.
It's a fixed. What does a fixed mean in layman's term?
Like a ceiling fan, it's attached to the house.
It done been drilled in place. It done been drilled in. Why does the stove stay but the dishwasher, or the stove stay but the refrigerator doesn't? Aren't most stoves just slid in?
No, it's attached.
How is it attached?
The safety thing, whatever you call that.
The anti-tip bracket. Great job, Eileen. You've been paying attention. That makes me so happy that somebody knew that answer. It stays because by design, the range, a freestanding range, needs to have an anti-tip bracket installed. It's not because the gas line's installed. It's not because it's a big power cord. It's because it has an anti-tip bracket that's supposed to be installed. Out of all the houses I've sold, I have yet to see an anti-tip bracket installed correctly, including the house that I live in, that I did myself. Just saying that they're supposed to be there. That's why that goes that way. What about a refrigerator or the microwave?
If it's a fixed phase,
Okay. Let's talk more along the lines of a client, because they may not use the term affixed. I want you to learn how to talk their language.
If it's one that's inside the wall, then it's part of the building. If it's one that just plugs in and sits on the counter, then it's considered personal property.
Good point. Break it down to the simple, because if you can understand it at the simple most level and explain it to your clients, then it's very easy for you to understand why and what it is. That's why drapes stay, because they're screwed to the wall. That's why blinds stay, because they're screwed in place. Now read the rest of that section. Lines 39 through line 50 go through typically what stays with the house. So any items beyond that list can be something we can negotiate in conveyance. Yes, Charity.
So you said the drapes stay, but I always tell my clients that the curtain rods stay, but the curtains can go. But I always tell them to switch them out in case the buyers really like them. I mean, is that accurate though?
Yeah. So towels, curtain, and drapery rods stay. Like I said, the drapes rod because it's screwed in. The drapes themselves don't. Now, if there's pictures hung up on the house, you better not take that nail out. That's my nail. It's that simple, guys. It's pretty much, it's however it's attached to the house, if it's attached to the house. Cool. Now, beyond conveyances and stuff like that, we negotiate at a surface level. And that means we go in, we look at a house, we walk the house, we identify its current condition in the current market, and we give our offer the best chance of success, right? What happens if we see a house that needs a roof repaired up front?
How would we know that?
Good question.
There's a
if you
huge gaping hole.
Huge gaping hole in the kitchen.
Am I the
Clearly,
buyer?
Uncle Fester fell through in a bathtub already.
So as you're representing the buyer, right?
Either side, if you want to talk about that, like if you have a seller that has clear and definable damage or deferred maintenance, you want to let them know that there's a potential of them having those kind of price reductions up front. As a buyer's representative, what's going to give your offer the best chance of survival?
You're talking about the clues that you need a new roof, bubbling at the corner of the roof and the wall.
Right.
The paint bubbling.
Paint bubbling, water spots, deterioration.
you'd write it in additional terms and conditions, 8A.
Yeah, page 8A would put on there. If you guys can see stuff with the house that's an issue right up front, like you can tell like the banister upstairs is loose, the carpet or there's a hole in the kitchen floor where you can step in and see the neighbors. These are all things that if you can clearly see it right then and there, you need to address it before you get to the Binzer period. That's going to give you the best chance of success long-term. And having that conversation with the listing agent as a buyer's agent and saying, listen, did you know that this was here? Little story time. I sold a condo upstairs. There was a giant hole in the living room that they covered with carpet. How do you think I found it? My big ass stepped in it.
Just they fell through.
Do you think Eileen would have found that hole?
Probably not.
Just
She might have
saying.
floated over it.
But I called the listing agent and said, hey, you've got a big issue. My clients are super interested in this property. They're going to pay good money for it. We need to make sure that we get this hole in the living room taken care of. And she's like, what hole? Also the one that I stepped in. And so I pointed it out to her. She came over, freaked out, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, we get it fixed. But I put it in the contract 100%. Page 8. Seller agrees to replace subflooring in living room to remedy unsafe foundation and replace carpet. So So you want to make sure that if we have these ideas up front, we identify them, we negotiate them out front, but it all comes from having a conversation. If you don't have the conversation, you don't open up those lines of communication, your negotiations are going to go nowhere. Step one of communication or negotiation is communication, right? Step one, talking about it. You need to set up where your guys are going to have your positioning. So you talk to your clients. You need to find out what they're doing. Are you able to make decisions on their behalf?
Not unless you have it expressly in writing.
Not even then.
Yeah, still not a good idea.
Still not, like Mike's like, still not a good idea. Anytime, anyone on this call, raise your hand if you have your cameras on. If you don't, turn them on. That when you guys have asked me a question about something, have I used the words, it's up to what your sellers and or buyers want?
Nope.
Right? This is my input, but you need to go find out what your buyers or sellers want to do. It's 100% buyers and sellers. They're a party to the contract. You are not. You are the servant. You're the messenger. You're the middleman or lady. So you need to have a written agreement towards the terms that you're going to negotiate, or have an understanding with your clients up front, your position. Okay, this is where we're going to go. We're going to talk about, this is where we're going to start with. What if they say no? So up front, we need to talk about pricing, close dates, earnest money. All these items are a big part of negotiation. We talked about that before in a couple of weeks past, how to negotiate a contract to the most successful rate. And that was going over the price, the earnest money, the close times, right? We kind of nailed those all home. You want to be very marketable. If you're in a hot market like we're in now, don't ask for so much. And if you're going to ask for it, pay for it on the front side. Remember that conversation? If you need $5,000 in closing costs, you need to add $5,000 to sell price. It needs to be a conversation with your client. You're not just going to arbitrarily say, okay, I think you should offer $210 because the house is for sale for $205. You need $5,000 in closing costs. You need to put it into spin. You need to sell it to them in the same factor as Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I understand that you love this house. Would you agree that it's only fair that if we need them to give us $5,000 of their earnings towards your closing costs, that we pay for it up front? And then you can play that, how would you feel if you lost this house? You've been looking forever on this house. Are you going to let this house walk away for a simple $4 or $14 a month? So negotiating starts with your positioning. As a client advocate, as the agent, you have to negotiate with your client to keep them in line, to keep them, realistic. Who hasn't had the unrealistic, I want a $200 a month car payment on a brand new Corvette? You all have. I've seen you. Y'all do. Y'all want that super cheap car payment. You're all unrealistic. Same with our buyers and sellers. I want $200,000 for this house. Mrs. Smith, you're missing half your kitchen and you live on the south side. You'd be lucky to get $50,000. But you have to find a position that makes sense. So what's going to give you the best chance of success is having a strong position and understanding what's going to happen if you get a yes or a no. Now, we've already got our offer identified. We've got our sales price identified. And we've got our earnest money identified. I'd like to touch on the earnest money one more time. What is earnest money?
It's like
Money that
good
shows
faith
your-
money.
Go ahead, Teresa.
It shows good faith that they're serious about wanting to buy. It's like a gesture of goodwill,
Good
but sticking a
afternoon,
little bit
Development
of
Services,
good
this is
faith
Robin.
into it. It's not a lot of money, but it says, hey, here's some money because I'm serious.
What it is it's us proving that we're going to do. Oh, sorry, just reading the chat real quick. It's us proving we're going to do what we're supposed to do for the contract in the time we're told to do so. And as I'm going to share this with Hope, her clients got burned the day after closing when the buyer already signed their documents. So earnest money is there to protect the seller. So if you're a seller's agent and you get a contract that's got some measly $500 earnest money on a $500,000 transaction, is that going to protect your seller in the event that the buyer defaults? We always look at it, and we talked about it last time on the earnest money spectrum on the buyer side, how to make it more egregious to the sellers and all that stuff like that. Now I want to talk about it on the negotiating point from a seller's position, because I want you guys to start thinking, how do I transition my business into a listing business? You know, Laura's done a great job of moving from buyer to seller, and she's been doing great with sellers, and it's helping her make more money with less effort. I want you all to be in the same position. So as a listing agent, and you see some earnest money come over that's not quite satisfactory to you, you need to have that conversation with your seller, right? $1,000 earnest money on a $500,000 transaction. Is that going to cut it? What's the cash deal that closes in 13 days? Is that going to cut it?
In that case, yes.
It depends on you. Depends on your seller. Again, depends on what the seller wants.
Is earnest money usually a percentage, like one?
Don't get trick bagged into thinking that there's a flat percentage that's agreeable out there. 1%, 2%, 4%, 6%.
A gold watch, a Corvette, mother's heirlooms.
Earnest money has been anything that the buyer and seller mutually agree upon to hold collateral of the deal. It has been money. It has been personal. It has been other property. I've seen big house deals go down and they've used other land as earnest money. You know what? I want to buy this house and I'm going to put up this property as earnest. In the event that I default, you can get my house or you can get this piece of land as long as it's owned and real. So those are the negotiating points. We can talk price, we can talk terms. So all the terms are closing costs, closing date, really important depending on buyer and seller needs, conveyances, refrigerators, couches, sheds that are not attached, these kind of things. Earnest money and option fees. We don't have an option fee because our BINSR period, the inspection period, is guaranteed by our contract. And repairs. I think most deals fall apart because of one of those items. And what do you think it is?
Repairs.
BINSR, yeah.
Repairs. Why is that?
Because it's not addressed up front.
Elaborate on that, Mike.
Well, just like you said, finding something that's clearly a problem, but you don't want to lose the deal, so they put in an offer. And when it comes, and a lot of, I mean, even with buyers that I deal with, they keep thinking that we're going to negotiate during a BINSR period, and I have to bring them back in to let them know that that's not the time to negotiate. You know, any negotiation that happens before we submit the offer.
So the foundation of the negotiation, right? Where you're preparing from, where's our position? And Mike is 100% right. It's not explained up front. Too many buyers and sellers, for that fact, think that the BINSR is another negotiating place. When is the sales price, earnest money, close date, and concessions all negotiated?
In the offer.
Up front. Thank you, Laura. Up front. We line that in the sand, hard pass, don't pass go, don't collect $200. It is done, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on with this deal. The next part, we have the offer in. Now we're under contract. The rest of it is removing contingencies. There is no more negotiation on the contract side. It's removing contingencies. Other than the BINSR, what's the other point people like to negotiate? What was that, Laura?
The appraisal. You can't negotiate. Can you negotiate that? Yeah, you can.
Can you?
If it doesn't hit appraisal, if the appraisal is lower than the price.
Well, okay. We get the appraisal back. How many days do your buyers have to decide what to do?
Oh, I don't know. Is it 5?
3.
I don't know. I don't know that one.
3.
I will challenge you all to read the contract. You know why I say that?
Because it's in there?
Because I'm gonna digitize this, because earlier today I read the contract and I went through from contract acceptance date through close of escrow. Sorry, it goes this way. Through close of escrow, everything and what times and when it triggers and how many days they have to respond, how many days the seller has to respond. So what's the vote? Is it 5 or is it 3?
5.
Know your contracts, ladies and gentlemen. This is the thing. So our bins, we're going to go back to that. I just want you guys to know that the time frames matter. So once you get an appraisal and the appraisal comes in at value or over value, can your seller renegotiate terms? It is a buyer contingency. Like we said, we're removing contingencies, right? The seller's contingency comes from title, and they have to remove encumbrances, not contingencies. Everything in the purchase contract is a buyer contingency, damn near. If you look at it, it's very heavy for the stuff the seller needs to provide to the buyer to prove. What does the buyer need to prove?
They still have the money.
They had the funds.
Yeah, they need to prove that they have the money, and they need to be able to prove that they can qualify for the loan. So, all right, we're going back to Binzers. Let's set them up. You should be having a conversation with your clients before you ever get into contract about what's going to happen during the inspection. I'm your client. What are you going to tell me during our buyer consultation of what I should expect during an inspection?
We're looking for anything that's concerned with structural, health, or safety hazard.
Okay, someone else.
Things that we can't see, that we don't know about.
Okay. Anyone else want to take a crack at it?
I even talk about like
Major
HO.
One second, Jason.
Oh, just about like
What? Major repairs.
if the HOA if the HOA has been hitting hard on paint, you know, I also even expect them, the HOA, to come back with, you know, here's something that could come up, that kind of stuff. But I just tell them, you know, the inspection period, they're going to come in, they're going to have a home inspector who's going to come in and look at everything. And they may want to bring in a roof inspector, as well as an HVAC inspector, or if there's a pool, or if there's termites. That these are all things that they may have come in that due diligence period. So that's what we need to wait for, and that's what we're going to be waiting for. And then I asked them to, you know, I asked the buyer's agent to send me their inspections so that we have an idea of what they could be asking for. But those are things that I look for, or I let them know.
That's good. You kind of took it from a seller's perspective of what a seller should expect during an inspection period.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't think we talk about it enough and have a communication with our sellers agents and, or sorry, our seller clients as sellers agents of what they should expect. Michael was on the right line. We're looking for concerns. What type of concerns, Michael?
Hole in the floor. You know, bad plumbing.
It's not a captain concern. It's
a what?
It's not a captain concern or a sergeant concern. It's a
Captain.
major concern.
Oh, major.
Charity's like trying to cheer you on over here. She's like, major. So, because you want to do that, because what that's going to do is that's going to hedge out, as a buyer's agent, the nitpicking bullshit. Sorry, the BS. He's getting recorded. The nitpicky BS. Because if you got a client that's going in there looking for a brand new house, and they want the drywall crack fixed, they want a screw put in the hinge, they want a light bulb in the kitchen replaced, they want the soap dispenser scum on the top of the sink to be cleaned off, and they want you to replace the dog door because it's cracked. Are any of these major concerns? Are any of these major concerns with safety, structural, or mechanical defects? That's why it's having those conversations up front. And as a seller's agent, during your listing presentation, having a conversation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, any repairs or upgrades you make now are going to hedge out the potential of concerns when the inspection period come around. Typically, buyers come in an inspection period and they're looking for major concerns that can't be seen at the normal eye during the initial walkthroughs and offers of the property. That means if something the inspector finds that neither you, I, or the buyer can see up front, they have the opportunity for us to remedy those items or cancel the contract. What I recommend is some of the things that we've pointed out as we walk around right now, we get those items fixed, cleaned up, out of the way, so that when they come in and do the inspections, they come in and offer us on the property, that we're not fighting thousands of dollars in offer price over nickel and penny repairs. On average, $1,000 of investment on your end now to repair these things up front will save you $6,000 to $7,000 worth of repairs and requests on the backside from the buyers. And that's why you walk them through and get all the silly stuff out of the way. Loose door handles, lubricate the windows to open and close, make sure the screens are on, wipe things down. Like, these are all small things you can really make a big impact, but it's having that conversation up front. Major concerns, this is what we're looking at. As long as they know what's going to happen during the inspection period, you have lined out a position, right? We know that the house needs a roof. You have already identified that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We have one playing in our favor that we're going to probably do and pay through escrow. Why don't we just put that in the agent notes? New roof to be installed in house by Hallmark Roofing, closed or before close of escrow, paid through escrow. Have we hedged out the major concern on the seller side? Now a buyer comes in and they come walk the house and they can see that, you know, they got a skillful agent that looks up and sees the whole white roof coating is alligator. It's peeling, it looks gray, and half of it's missing. And they look down and the agent note says, hey, going to get a brand new roof. So now that agent's a little bit more inclined to put an offer on that property at full price. And it alleviates that when you're doing the Binzer. So it's all about positioning, right? All right, Renee, got interesting thing I learned last week during an inspection. Garage door sensors have to be 6 inches or less. Easy fix, but still interesting. Thank you. You learn stuff on inspections, guys, so go on them. So the next thing is we want to present our offers in clear and well-defined pattern, right? We don't want gray zone. We don't want any interpretation. We want clear and defined expectations. What does that mean on a Binzer as a buyer's agent?
Ask for what you want.
What do you mean by that, Mike?
Be clear and concise. Don't. Oh, go ahead.
Does that help?
You can't mince words. It has to, don't say repair or replace. Say seller shall replace her, home inspection, and give the line. So don't give them an out. You have to exactly what you want. Repair or replace, and don't make it a laundry list. Maybe give them 3 to 5 at max.
Set clear expectations. Seller shall replace front door with like model and refinish to match. Is there any gray zone? Is there any inconsistency? Is there anywhere anyone can interpret differently? Seller to repair or replace front door.
That's it open. That's too loose.
Way too loose. I see it all the time.
Can be any door.
Any door.
Could be a closet door.
Could be a closet door. You're right. I have seen stuff like that before. Seller to remedy leaky faucet.
Which one?
Exactly. Or they remove the damn thing. Remedied, not leaking anymore.
Can't you put in there too, like who by, like by a licensed professional, licensed plumber?
Absolutely. As a buyer's agent, you're looking out for the financial and fiduciary responsibility is to your client, right? If it needs an outlet, or if it needs a breaker, or if it needs something electrical, Are you going to trust that your sellers have the skill sets and ability to fix that?
And ask for warranties too, for a roof, 2-year warranty, termites, 2-year warranty, and make sure it says it in the receipt.
Yeah, or we can fight them and take 2 years away from their warranty. So, but that being said, okay, as a seller's agent, I see on the Binzer it says ceiling fan to be repaired by a licensed electrician, light in the bathroom to be repaired by a licensed electrician, light bulb in the master bathroom to be replaced by a licensed electrician.
That's pushing it. There's the handyman law for under $1,000. You don't have to be licensed. So I think that's a little bit, I don't think that looks good.
Okay. On top of that, what does the contract say?
Well, it says you can ask for whatever you please.
Lines 278 through 280.
Is that where it says the seller shall repair in a workmanlike manner?
What does that mean, Charity?
The seller can do the drywall patching and replace the electrical panel as long as it doesn't go above $1,000.
Not even that long. If the homeowner does all the work, there is no handyman guarantee to it. The handyman law comes in when you hire somebody to do the work that the total encumbrance of the job is less than $1,000. They do not need to be licensed. Other side, if it's the homeowner is skillful and able to produce the same results as a professional in a workman's a professional, like manner, done so like a workman, done so like a professional, then as a seller's agent, you can counter that Binzer and say, hey, all work will be done in a workmanlike manner per the AAR purchase contracts lines 278 through 280. Who's seen that on your Binzers?
Not yet.
Yeah. If I were a seller's agent and you came at me with a Binzer full of a bunch of BS, light bulb must be replaced by a licensed electrician, roof to be recoated by a licensed professional, plumbing or the leaky faucet to be replaced by a licensed professional, HVAC system must be checked out by a licensed professional, dog crates need to be checked out by a licensed professional. I'm going to hedge out most of those things with my clients. Guys, you know you need a roof. Your AC is as old as your mom. It's probably time to replace it. We talked about these things. All they want you to do is have it serviced by a professional. I think that's a good idea. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you guys said that you used to own a handyman services and you're pretty good at doing some plumbing and electrical. Why don't you guys take care of this, and this by yourselves? It probably won't cost you more than $100 in total material and a little bit of your time on a weekend. And then we will tell them we're not going to do this and that because they're not really major concerns. And then I hedge back to you as the buyer's agent. I send you a Binzer response that says seller shall perform all work in accordance to the AAR purchase contracts lines 278 through 280. Item 1, item 3, item 7, item 10, item 11. And then item 3, roof will be repaired in accordance to attached estimate from Hallmark Roofing, work to be completed by, Rudolph Roofing as per attached estimate. HVAC system shall be serviced, just serviced, someone putting on there, serviced by Picture Rocks Heating and Cooling. Sent. Now, as the buyer's agent, are you going to accept or reject that?
Accept.
Okay.
I mean, I say that because right now I'm going through the Binzer process. I'm a little hesitant because I want to make sure I say the right thing, because anybody that's receiving it may see it as differently as I'm wanting it. So, well, not me, but as my buyers, right?
I think Amber missed that. I think she sent me a message the other day and I asked her, what do your buyers want to do?
Yeah.
She's all,
and
good
that's
question.
why, sorry, I was on an overseas call because I know I wanted to ask some Binzer questions during this chat. Sorry, I don't mean to take everybody's time. But I know I missed probably a lot. But my one question is, once the seller comes back and says, okay, I will change items 1, 2, and 4 and not add 3, that tells me that the seller's not going to fix item 3, only 1, 2, and 4. And then my buyer has to say yay or nay, correct?
Yep.
That was my Chinese message.
Nice.
Or Japanese, I don't know. But do I send that back to the seller once they sign it and are okay with the seller not fixing item 3, but everything else is good? Or do I wait for the work to be completed and then send it? So buyer, seller, and buyer signed. Do I send it back to the seller, say, yeah, my buyer's good with you fixing items 1, 2, and 4, but not 3?
Well, once you've done step 1, step 2, step 3 of BINSR is executed. So your buyer has agreed upon whatever's up there, and anything beyond and above that, the seller's doing at their grace.
Okay.
So if that item wasn't selected in the response, so step 2, then your buyer agreed to buy the property without those repairs being done. If the seller does them after the fact and does that work out of what they've already promised, then fantastic. They're moving on in a gracious manner. But there actually is no seller recourse. The buyer can't come back at closing and say, hey, you guys didn't do this, when you can pull up the bench and say, well, yeah, 'cause we said we weren't going to and you agreed to it.
And
that's why I'm saying in your case, Amber, you should have it agreed upon without just letting it be, at their
right.
value.
Because when I read the BINSR, if the seller said they would fix everything, then buyer doesn't need to sign part 3. It's done.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but
BINSR request all items, buyer gives the seller the ability to remedy all disapproved items below. Next page on page 2, I think it's page 2 or 3 now, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Seller agrees to remedy all disapproved items. BINSR closed.
right. But if they mention something that they're not fixing, that's when my buyer's going to say, okay, that's fair. Fix those 3 things. I'll fix the 4th thing and just be done. So, but that's when it's executed. So let's go after this, take a step further. When they say we're going to fix X, Y, and Z, how they have to do that? What they have until up to 3 days prior to closing, correct, to fix those items. So how do I know?
And give proof.
Oh, and approved.
And no, give proof.
Oh, give proof. Okay, so just
line 278 through 280 talk about that you have 3 days prior to the close of escrow to repair and remedy all disapproved items and provide proof. So it's seller agrees in writing to correct items disapproved. Seller shall correct the items completed and repair in workmanlike manner. That was the key term, in a workmanlike manner. And deliver any paid receipts evidencing the correction and repairs to the buyer 3 days prior to close of escrow.
And that's where you guys were talking when I came in.
Right. That's that term right there, in a workmanlike manner. As a buyer's agent, when you go back and do your final walkthrough, if the sellers did not pay for anything, that was just a workmanship thing, and they can't, there's no receipt, like they didn't pay for a faucet, they didn't pay for a fire extinguisher or whatnot, they don't have to issue you a receipt, but they have to prove that it's work done. Have them snap you a picture, and then when you guys go to your final walkthrough, you take the BINSR and go check it off. Because on your final walkthrough forms, it says that there's a box on there for items that are not completed that you guys have agreed upon.
Okay.
So make sure you go back over that. And if work is not done in a workmanlike manner, like if it looks like dog poop, call them out on it. Hey, you guys put up this door and it looks like total dog poop. My buyers are not moving forward to purchase this property until that door is repaired as per agreed in the BINSR in a workmanlike manner. Y'all put duct tape to hold the door in place. That is not a workmanlike manner. You installed a closet door on the front door. That is not in a workmanlike manner. Y'all painted the roof with mayonnaise. It is not in a workmanlike manner. As a buyer's agent, you need to have a little bit of an ability to see when things were done. Just go out and double check. So keep in mind, like, take a picture of the things that were an issue. like during your inspection, you should have those. If you have a good inspector, you should have pictures of them, right? And then verify the pictures. If you've got a good relationship with the agent, they should send you a text, say, hey, Dan, we got the water heater replaced. Here's the new one. Hey, we got that vent replaced. Here's this. Where they got the wood replaced on the outside of the patio. Here's the picture. And then what you're doing as your final walkthrough is verifying that. So the Binzer process ends after day 20. 10 days inspection period. Response is due before the end of the inspection period. Seller has 5 days to respond after that point. And then buyer has an additional 5 days to respond to the seller's response, making it a total 20-day window. If everything was full extension, when does it fully end? When repairs are done.
When repairs are done. Okay, I was like, is that a question?
Yeah.
When does it fully end? When the repairs are done. So it don't wait until the last minute to check on major repairs. Don't wait to check on some things. Like if it's a full roof job that's supposed to be done and you guys are a week out from closing and you haven't heard from the roofing company to schedule a time, as a seller's agent, you need to be like, hey, what's going on? We need to get this done. As a buyer's agent, you need to be calling the seller's agent. Hey, when's that roof repair scheduled to be started, scheduled to be completed? When's the AC company going out there? Be proactive about it. So again, the negotiation is that we kind of went off on a Binzer tangent, but the negotiating point is keeping the communication out there. And if you guys had those lines of communication up front. Now, let's get into some of the negotiating points of a Binzer. A buyer wants, I'm going to use a real life example here. A buyer wants the carpet in 3 bedrooms replaced and the roof replaced, recoated. Seller says no. Are we done?
No,
Why not?
because you can actually negotiate a credit, right?
Okay. That's one avenue. That's one negotiating point, right? Seller is unwilling or unable to do any repairs. That's the verbiage in the contract on the Binzer. Unwilling or unable. Is it always because they're unwilling? What does it mean, Charity, when someone says unable?
They might not have the funds to pay someone,
Okay.
or to even do it themselves.
There we go. Unable to afford it, unable to do it themselves. So unwilling is not desiring. Unwilling, I don't want to do it. Unable is I can't do it. I want to, but I can't. So let's take away those contingencies. Like I said, the contract is get the contract in place, we negotiate all the terms, and then the rest of it's removing contingencies. So we remove the contingency on the repairs. The seller does not have enough money at the proceeds to cover the repairs requested. Are we done? Why not, Teresa?
Well, what I did, carpet situation, was look back at what the sellers, I was a buyer's agent, so look back at what the sellers had originally listed the price for, look back at how they had already reduced it, look at the appraisal which came in above what the price came down to, let my buyers know they were going to immediately have equity in the home. The equity alone that they're going to get because of the appraisal versus the lower payment that the seller was willing to do was more than enough to pay for the cosmetic issue of replacing the carpet. Because the sellers, frankly, just did not have the money to replace it. They just didn't. And I said, so you're willing, you can walk away, but this is, put yourself in that position. And I was just letting my buyers do that, put themselves in the seller's position and say, what would you do and what do you think is fair? And they thought about it. I said, think about it overnight and let me know. And the next day they said, let's move forward, and we accept everything as is then. So that was just my take on that.
So reaffirming a position, like what you did is you took your buyers and put them back on a different position, right?
Yes.
You looked at an outcome and said, hey, this is where we could go. You found your position. You removed your own contingencies and you had a game plan for them saying yes or no.
Yes.
So you put it back on them and say, guys, look, you're getting a deal. You negotiated with your buyers to move on, did you not?
Yes.
What's another thing we could have done? So here's the scenario. Seller says, no, I don't have the funds. I can't replace the carpet. I don't even have enough money at the sale of the house to do it. What can we do? Are we done?
Agents pay for it. No kidding.
Agents pay for it. Sounds like you had a situation like that recently.
Yeah, but it didn't go through.
But that's one thing. An agent can do a commission cut, right? Does it come out of your pocket? Right then and there. Do you pay for the carpet yourself? You just take a reduced commission, right? Is that helping out your client? If you're the buyer, is that helping out your client? You're not giving them money, but is it helping them out?
Absolutely.
Welcome home gift. Don't expect a box of chocolates. All right. What's another way? Or are we done?
I feel like this is a trick question.
No. Me? Trick questions? Come on.
Never.
Dan, if they do have proceeds that they'll be getting, they can always do the work and then have them be paid out of escrow.
I don't have enough money even after I sell the house, Hope. I'm barely breaking even as it is.
And I got nothing. They'll just have to walk away.
When I pay you and I pay the other agents and I pay all the closing fees, I'm barely enough to get money to pay myself a cab ride home.
How about we ask? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how about we ask the other side to other agent? Because the last time I checked, if it's on the seller side, we're both getting paid for the one transaction.
Right.
Oh, took a hit. I'm only getting 2% on this one because I took care of their other transaction. You could ask. It's not always forthcoming though.
True.
I would offer a ride home if they can't get a ride home.
Thank you, Jason. All right. I thought Teresa was going to get there. The seller does not have the proceeds during or after. Our buyers are not moving on their request. We can't really take a commission cut. Are we done?
Owner carryback?
Creative, I like it. Not going to work a whole lot, very much for some repairs, but are we done?
I would think so at this point. Yes.
Okay. How about anyone else? I want you guys to think creatively. Like, you've just put 2 months into this deal and your buyers put you through the ringer. You finally got them a house. Everything is good. We're good at strong market. The appraisal's good. Everything's good. Are we done?
So can we do a loan, like to get that fixed? Like, you know, what do you call it? You probably just went through this when you bought your house. The equity? No.
My answer would be, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say that the way that you're saying it, that they have no equity and anything like that, and you've already taken the pay cut, that if they refer some people to you, then you'll help with the, like you said, the closing costs, or you'll do something out of your pocket.
Okay. Well, we've already taken our commission cut. I'm surprised nobody has offered up that we just increase the sales price a little bit.
I was going to say that, but you said that was off the table.
I never said it was off the table. I thought you were going there because you're like, the appraisal's already higher than our offer price and they're good on the equity. And I'm all, she's going there. And no, just guys, don't be afraid of asking during the Binzer, because usually the appraisal's not done yet, during the Binzer, getting them to agree to a little bit higher sales price. If your buyer wants a $7,000 roof and the seller is willing to do a $2,000 coat, you're $5,000 away. Right? We're not looking at it till 7, we're looking at 5. We're looking at $5,000 on top of this deal. So you're telling me, Miss Amber, that you're willing to let this perfect home, this perfect neighborhood, this perfect color house with 3-car garage and the perfect location that's right next to your perfect dream, go for a small bit of money?
No.
You're the benefactor of a new roof that's going to last you probably 15 or 20 years. It makes sense that we pay a little bit of that right now, right? Get this deal closed?
Yeah.
Cool. I don't ever want you guys to think that you're done. That was the whole point of this exercise. Always look for an option. Always look for a creative solution to get you to your goal. What I say the most important thing about negotiation was?
Communicate and know your position.
Communicating, knowing your position. You got to communicate with your buyers and sellers.
Well, and keeping it win-win. It has to be, they
Has
both.
to be win-win. Has to be win-win. The biggest downfall we have right now in our entire community, and that's all agents, is we're taking it personally, and we're getting lockjawed on the situation at hand and failing to think critically and failing to think 2, 3, 4, 7 steps ahead, where we can literally hedge out every one of these concerns from the day we meet these people. The house has a little bit of smell in it, right? Clearly we know the house has been smoked in. They had a St. Bernard and it chewed up the floor and peed all over the place. Did you know that when you went in? Did you talk about that with the listing agent? Have you set yourself up for failure when you come to the Binzer? Have you told your buyer that we aren't negotiating sales price during the Binzer? Everything you do to set up the deal is going to make life easier removing those contingencies, right? Title's got to remove their contingency, the bank's got to remove their contingencies, and the buyer has to remove their contingencies. And once all contingencies are removed, what happens? We consummate a deal. We make ourselves a new house babies. Everyone's happy, everyone's good, everyone's excited. I will tell you that your life becomes infinitely easier when you start having the hard conversations up front. Start setting expectations early on. And think creatively. I love each and every one of you in your own way. You're all special. Nobody on this call has more of an ability to negotiate your deal than you do. When you reach out to me, I just help you refocus your own ability. So when you get backed into a corner, or you feel like an agent's bullying you or pushing you or being mean, take yourself out of the equation and think critically. Okay, I've got a hard-nosed negotiating agent here. They're probably backed up against a very difficult, immovable, stubborn, mean client, right? Do you think an agent's going to fight with you harder than they're going to fight with their own client? What you need to do is make friends, talk to them, discuss things, work out a win-win scenario, but think creatively, knowing what you can and can't do in a contract. I'm going to say it right now. Not a single one of you can open up your wallets and pay for repair, period. Because it's not your agent's house or your client's house as a buyer's agent. As a seller's agent, that is a stupid idea. Open up your hearts, make it work, maybe take a reduction on one side of it when it's all said and done, but make it a win-win. If I'm going to take a 1% reduction in sales commission, you're sure as hell going to get me some referrals, right? You're going to make me look like Jesus on Google, right? It has to be a win-win. So I'm glad Hope brought that up. We remember our core tenements, win-win. Well, isn't one of our core YC 2 through 4, I can't even talk, brains are hard. Y4C2Ts, isn't one of them creativity? Right? I want you guys to expand what you're thinking upon, expand the opportunities in front of you, and stay linear in your contract, knowing your dates. I challenge every one of you to do your own time map. It was insightful. There's a shit ton of stuff that has to be done on the 5th day of the contract. A ton. And none of it gets done because it doesn't apply. But the one day that it does apply, I bet you miss it. And so send me a picture of yours. That'll let me know you did it. That lets me know you understand your time frames. And when you understand the documents inside and out, does it make it, Laura said no. I'm messing. Does the appraisal have to be done before the 10th day? No. I'm just calling you out. But no, but that way you know your contracts. And part of negotiating is knowing the documents inside and out, knowing the contract inside and out, knowing every step of the process. It's day 11 of your inspection period. You send your Binzer. What do the sellers have to do?
Nothing, and you're too late.
Nothing. You're late. You missed out. It's day 6 of the seller's response to your Binzer, and they have not responded.
They're not doing anything.
Yep.
What does your buyer get to do?
Have them fix everything requested.
Move on with nothing or cancel the contract. It's day 6 of the buyer's response to the seller's response, and the sellers only agreed to do 1 out of the 53 things you asked for. What's happening?
Up to the buyer.
What's that, Mike?
Up to the buyer. If they want to, just like you said, continue on, accept the one repair and continue on, or cancel the contract.
It's day 6 of the buyer's response to the seller's response. The buyer has agreed to buy the house, foregoing all repairs not written down. It's all right here, guys. It's literally all right here. And these are things that you can know, and it's kind of scary to go, did you know that if a buyer does not cancel this contract within 5 days, the buyer shall, close escrow with corrections of those items the seller has not agreed to in writing? That's step 2 of the Binzer. Step 3 says in 287 to 289, the buyer's failure to give notice of disapproved items, meaning the not turning in a Binzer, the buyer's failure to give notice of disapproved items or cancellation of the contract within the specified time shall conclusively be deemed the buyer's election to proceed with the transaction without corrective of any disapproved items. What does that mean for you?
You not be late.
It's one of the most hated terms in real estate.
You get cured.
It rhymes with commissionectomy. Do you think they're going to come after you? And do you think that the ADRE is going to side with a real estate agent that failed to guide their buyers to respond in the times that are dictated in the contract? Or are they going to side with the public that was harmed in the transaction with 2 licensed real estate professionals?
They're coming after us.
They're coming after us. Dead hard. So know your timeframes, know your negotiations. It all starts with the communication. So take yourself out of the equation. It's not your house. It's not your money. It's not your future. You have a small role to play in this big decision. What you need to do is educate, guide, and help your clients make a decision. You are a professional mind maker upper. I love that. It's the simplest thing you can say about a salesperson is you're a professional mind maker upper. You help people make up their minds. And if you can stress the importance of one thing or another, or having the ability to say, hey, why don't we think a little creatively about this? You put in $1,000, I'll put in $1,000, the seller will put in $3,000, and the buyer will put in $3,000. We can cover that $8,000 roof repair. Yeah, Eileen put in there, she learned the hard way. A lot of this came from conversations I've had in this last week with a couple agents. We are working in a market with some incredibly challenging times. Unskilled agents, uneducated marketplace, uneducated or overeducated buyers. They watch too much HGTV. And a 100% lack of creativity. Too many times they're throwing their hands up going, I'm out. I'm good, whatever. I told my seller when he was hard pressed not to make any repairs because this client was like, I just want this done, I want this done, I want this done. It was like $1,100 worth of work. And my client was like, no, let the deal go. I'm not interested in paying for it. I was like, John, your house needed to be repaired years ago and you knew it. I pointed it out to a year ago when I took the listing. These are all things that are what they call deferred maintenance. You deferred them. You need to pay for them later. This is you paying for it. He's like, I don't care. Someone will come by and buy it. I'm $1,000 invested in this deal. I got time, effort, photos, marketing, all this stuff, right? How do I get my money back? How? By selling the damn house, right? And I told Eileen this morning, actually, the only way that we can service our clients the best is to bring it to close. Anything short of that is a failure on our part. Regardless of how tough or how difficult or how naughty the clients were, ultimately it's our fault. So we need to earn that. So we need to take it upon ourselves to think creatively, be proactive, be strategic, knowing this or that. Okay, they say yes, we're going this way. They say no, we're going this way. But have those difficult conversations, ask those difficult questions. Mike, I know that you want the roof replaced, the pool filter replaced, the water filter replaced, and the bathroom light fixture replaced because it's hanging off. What if they say no? Kind of thing.
But that's having a conversation with your buyers of saying, hey, you know, in the event that the seller doesn't agree, what is our next, you know, what's our next conversation going to be like?
I would challenge you to ask just in that manner. What if they say no? Make it painful. Who likes hearing no? No. Oh, I feel rejected. No. What if they say no? Amber, what if they say no? What do you mean? Well, per our contract, they are not obligated to do anything. It's an as-is property, and it states right here. What if they say no? And then you will see their wheels turning, and then that starts that next conversation. And then you have that line in going, okay, guys, I'm gonna ask for everything. Don't worry. I got this covered. I just want to know what path I need to take when that time comes. We're always going to fight for you. I'm going to do everything I can to get everything asked for because I believe it needs to get done. What if they say no? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know that this is a big repair list. There's quite a few things on here that could be very costly to you. These are items that we talked about in the past that needed to get fixed. Now, I know there's a couple things on here that you said you're already going to do, and that's awesome. What if that's not enough? You see how the questions are a lot more to the point? They go for your heart. What if that's not enough? What if they say no? Are you willing to lose this deal over a small bit of repairs? Is $5,000 a small bit of repairs?
In the big picture, it's a small amount.
Right on point. Anchor back to the motivation, right? Are you going to keep $5,000 from moving you towards your family? Are you going to keep $5,000 for a way? Are you going to let $5,000 keep you from moving closer to your family? Keep you from enjoying the life that you've dreamed about in California? You know, get you out of your ex's house? Whatever their motivation is, anchor it to it. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, are you going to allow something so simple that you guys can do on a weekend keep you from getting this house that we've been looking for months? Hey, great news, guys. They agreed to do all the repairs. Because they're like, oh, shit, they're not doing nothing. Amber said they're not doing nothing. We're just going to buy the house. We already ordered the paint. We've already got the mud spackle. My brother's coming down from Florida. He's going to help us do the roof. We had it covered, but they're doing everything? Oh, my God, Amber, you're amazing. It happens all the time, but it's about having those difficult conversations. Michael's shaking his head at me. You guys should know better by now. It happens by setting up the conversation and having your positions in place. Think down the line. I don't know if you guys are chess players or checker players. Checker players are responsive, right? You move, I move, you move, I move, you move, I move. Chess players are not responsive. They're proactive. I'm going to move here to make him move here so I can move here. And then he's probably going to move here so I can move here. And then I'm going to move this guy here. He's going to take this guy. I'm going to sacrifice this guy to move here and checkmate. That's before the game even starts. Grandmasters think the entire game ahead. Not me either, Amber. I'm sad to say that I'm not a grandmaster in chess, but what I do is I think strategically when it comes to negotiating. I know where I want to go and I know where I need to get people, but I have a game plan in place in the event that I have to detour.
But how long has that taken you, Dan, to get to that point?
My entire life.
Okay, because
it took me a lot of time to learn this on my own because I didn't have somebody showing it to me. Welcome to Keller Williams, guys. You have me. I pulled this book out 5 times today and went over things in it. And they're about negotiating. They're about life. They're about the transaction. They're about my budget. They're about my business. And there's these resources all over the place. Remember, I'm one of your resources, right? We asked that question. Do you have the skills or resources available to you to be a high production agent? Remember, I'm a resource of yours, right? So it's a great question. How long did it take me to figure that out? I'm still learning. I learn every day. Every time I get a negotiation or I get somebody that's, does something differently than I do, I take note of it. I'm like, oh, I like that. I liked how that worked because it struck an emotion in my head. Or if I do something that doesn't work, I write it down. I say, listen, this didn't work. I'm always learning. A key point in negotiation is always learning. Learning your clients, learning your skills, learning your trade, learning the outcomes, learning the different creative ways other agents have handled them. So we have our masterminds on Thursday nights. This is what I want you guys to talk about. I want you to talk about your wins, your opportunities, where you need help from. I talk way too damn much. And I got Mike right here in my office. God, I'm ugly. But let's think creatively, right? When you guys come across something that's challenging, interesting, off the beaten path, share it. That's the value of this group. It's the value of this team, this family. You have collective experience. I'm loving the fact that when you guys have a question, you throw it in the group chat, somebody else answers before I do because they've asked that question 6 weeks ago. Are you learning? Are you gaining important information? Are you becoming better agents?
Yes.
So, negotiation is what we do every day. We negotiate with our kids. We negotiate with ourselves. We negotiate with our clients, our other agents. What does that say?
I'm good at talking to people and they want to talk to me.
You're good
I
at
still
talking
have
to
this.
Oh, right.
And my knees don't knock when I'm calling people now, and
Good.
I appreciate your help in that aspect.
You did it. All I did is I put a mirror in front of you, made you focus.
Correct.
Trust me, you guys should hear the conversations I have with my coach. I have to send my coach 10 open-ended questions about recruiting every day at 9:45 or no, 9:15. Every day. That's weird. I have to send her an email with 10 questions on it. After a while, you start repeating, and then she tells me that I didn't do it because I repeated. Do you think that's making me change my brain and making me think more creatively? Like I gotta come up with some random ass questions. So I want you guys to do the same thing. Come up with responses, come up with different situations, and let's discuss them. You have an accessibility that is me. You can come sit in my office. I'm gonna start being in Sierra Vista every other Tuesday. I'm gonna start being at Kolb every Thursday. You guys pop in and say hi. So it's like the first and third Tuesdays I'll be in Sierra Vista. Can't tell you exactly what time it is because I don't know what that drive looks like. So it might be 10 to 3. I don't know. I'll figure it out. From what I understand, Sierra Vista has a shorter workday. I like it. I might stay there. So, but think creatively. If you guys get stuck on a situation, let's talk it out. Okay? Call me. Let's work it out. Let's talk it out. Let's see where you're at. But I want you to start writing things down, and keep in mind, you have to call the other agent and talk to them. Don't be a secret agent. This is not a behind the scenes. You're in the front lines. You're the lion shield. You're the one with the shield and the pick in the front of the line. You're staying the course. So talk to the other agent. Find out. Be skillful in having conversations with people you're adversarial to. And then start looking at it as you guys are working together instead of that's where you start winning the deals right away, is make them a friend. My emails to every offer, I look forward to working together to get both of our clients to the closing table. I look forward to working together with you to get this deal done. It's always win-win. Yes, Amber, awesome. So start there. Pay attention to your clients. Pay attention to the sellers. Pay attention to the nonverbal cues. They tell you worlds of stuff. Do you believe that when I'm on these calls with you guys, I'm looking at your facial expressions? I'm looking at who's paying attention. I'm looking at who's responding. I'm looking at people shaking their head, nodding their head, making funny faces. I say things jokingly to see who I've response with. Pay attention to those cues with your clients, and you'll know when you've struck a nerve. You'll know when you've struck, some kind of level of agreement with them. And then once you present your option, shut up and listen. I hate what's going on in the world right now. I do 100% hate what's going on in the world. And I think the best advice I've heard was shut up and listen. Everyone's got something to say. Shut up and listen. Listen to those that are hurting. So in your case, in your deals, listen to those who are involved. You may think you know best because you've been through this situation before. You don't know where they're coming from. So shut up and listen. And that'll help you get to the right path. So listen carefully to the other party. Super important. When you listen intently, you listen to understand, not listen to respond. Are you going to hear more? Right? We listen to hear how we're going to respond. Way too much. Guarantee on this call, people have got, hey, I got the perfect thing to say, and then I take a different line, or someone else says something differently, and you have lost a minute and a half of the conversation because you were focused on what you wanted to respond with. So let's listen to understand. I seek first to understand. Right? I seek to understand. Stay calm. You have to be the grounded force. Stay calm and relaxed. Don't be tied to the outcome. If you ever see anyone in trauma or anyone that's a first responder, are they frantic? Are they worried? Are they running around like crazy? Or do they talk slowly, they get up in your face and they tell you, Teresa, don't worry, I got this. Instantly trust is conveyed. You have this confirmed element like, okay, I'm in good hands. I can trust them. Like, I'm good. So stay calm, stay relaxed. Don't be tied to the outcome, because if you're emotionally tied to the outcome and you have these emotional gaps and it's very difficult, you're not going to get the agreements you need because you're not thinking creatively. You're thinking reactively. Stay focused on your client's needs. You know, what's the ultimate need? The house. What's the only way that we can service our clients that well? What was the answer, Robin?
Get to close.
Get them to close. What's the only way that we can service our sellers, Hope?
Get them to close also, right? Get them at the most.
Yeah, get them to close, period. Nobody gets paid until they do. And then always give your offers the best chance of survival. And that's not just the first initial purchase contract. It's counter after counter after counter after addendum, after any Binzer stuff. It's whatever you're presenting, give it the best chance of success by setting up the story, by having a storyline. Be confident and committed to it. When you present it, avoid indicating that you're wishy-washy in any way. Hey, you know, my buyers really want you to replace the roof and the ceiling fans, but I'm pretty sure that they'll go with just the ceiling fans. Who's had times where they just wanted to respond where it was easy? Stand up for your clients. Stand up and fight for your deals, but be confident and committed and give your offers the best chance of success. What's your question, Ms. Amber?
So I'm on the, probably, I wouldn't say the bad girls list, but I'm not getting a check because one of the spuds wasn't, every page wasn't signed. It was signed at the end and initialed at the end by the buyers and of course my seller, but not every page has been initialed. So I'd already talked to the other agent and she's aware, but still haven't had any response. How would you handle that situation?
Text them. Hey, Miss Agent, any luck? I'm guessing you haven't heard from them, but any luck getting the SPDS initial? Grovel at the knees of those you need. I'm so sorry I failed and skipped this. I'm really sad to ask. Could you please have your client sign this? I just did it myself. I'm human too, guys. My deal that just closed clean because I went through and reviewed my file on Friday and I was all, I'm missing the SPDS completely.
I don't believe you.
I don't either.
So I sent an email. I sent an email to the other client. I was like, hey, Katie, by chance, do you have a signed SPDS? She's like, yeah, here you go. We miss things, guys. I'm never going to tell you guys that I'm perfect because I want you to know it's all part of the bigger game. Where is this email? I send a lot of dang emails, guys. But so on another topic we'll end soon is having the expert knowledge of your deals, like your contracts inside and out, and be flawless with the timelines. Who's going to commit to going through and writing down the timeline? It took me 25 minutes and some really good rock songs in the background. And what I did is I went through and I highlighted every section that had something to do with a time frame to it, and I wrote it down. And I went and I put it on a graph. I put it on a graph as I went through it. That will really, I really do think that'll help you out. So, sorry I can't find the email where I asked for the SPDS, but you'll have to trust me that I did indeed not get it. I sent it to her, which is good because I'm the seller's agent. So I sent them the SPDS as I'm supposed to in the contract. And let me ask you, what day is that supposed to be sent? Day 5, you think?
No, 3.
Day 3.
And clue as well.
The clue is 5.
Clue is
Oh,
5.
Is it 5? Damn it. Sorry.
Do your math. Seriously, I learned a ton. I learned a ton. So go do the map. Go start with contract day. Contract is 0. That's 0 day. Day 1 through contract end. Number through whatever. And go and find out, okay, what needs to be sent and what response time comes with it. Like, how many days does your client have to respond to a clue?
5.
Did you know that your client could respond to the clue? Right? Your client can cancel the deal because of the clue 5 days after the receipt. Right? So if you want out of the deal and you haven't gotten a clue report yet, and the other agent sends you a letter of experience 5 days before you close escrow, you can cancel that deal.
Did not know that.
Neither did I.
I'm really confused on clues though, because I've had an
Clueless?
actual clue letter and then I've had insurance form. So
The clue is by the contract. Let me go to the actual period. It's
I obviously had no clue.
no clue. Clueless. Totally clueless. The clue is actually a letter of experience. So you need to have, it's section 6I, 260 to 263. Inspection period, that's the inspection period. I highlighted the wrong line. So inspection period, it's a letter of experience, and how many years of history do you need to have? It's section 4B in disclosures. 157 through 161. 5 years of history experience. So the term clue actually came from a report that insurance companies would pay for. A clue report was the history of the insurance on that property. Just like we call all Kleenex, all tissues Kleenex, you know, can I have some Kleenex? Google it, even though you're using Bing or Safari. The clue just became the generalized term for a letter of experience. Letter of experience, insurance claim history, these are all interchangeable terms. You need 5 years of history.
I don't like that because I have 2 contracts right now and they're both flips and both of them don't have previous clue reports. So is that, I'm like, okay, so when you bought this property, was that not of importance? Like, I'm confused.
So they don't have insurance on it now?
Well, they have insurance, like physical insurance,
Yeah,
but
by the
prior
contract,
to that, it's not been 5 years or up to 5 years.
on line 158 says, it's 157, 158. It's 5 years or a claims history for the length of time seller has owned the premises if less than 5 years.
Right, but all I got was an insurance form of saying that they have insurance on the home.
Yeah, so their insurance agent should send them a letter saying no claims have been present on this during my term. So I would push it back on them, say per section 4B, please provide me an insurance claim history on this property for the length of time you've owned it.
Some insurance companies will send it directly to the listing agent. I always get it if I can, just to make it easier for the seller.
And your insurance agent might be able to pull it and send it for you too. I did not know that some agents can, like some insurance agents can pull that information, but there are some. My friend Kimmy Donahue at Everything Insurance, she's partnered with the Stratton Group. She's their insurance hub. Happens to be one of my closest friends since high school, and she can pull clue reports too.
Yeah, I'll always do that for my sellers. I know USAA does not let us do that. There's probably others as well.
So that's Kimmy's phone number in the chat if you want it. She's awesome. So I do challenge everyone in to know your forms inside and out. It's going to make you a better negotiator, because then you can talk contract timelines, you can talk realistic stuff, and don't take it personal. When somebody's coming at you with a hard-nosed approach, it's not a personal attack. Take yourself out of the equation, right? We're going to end on one question. I want you to ponder on it. What are you doing to guarantee success for your clients?
Everything within the best of my ability.
Great answer. Ponder on that, guys. What are you doing to guarantee success for your clients? Some internal looking, huh? Some in the mirror stuff. All right, got 4 more minutes that I got on the calendar for you. Got anything random? Any questions that I can help answer? Mike, thanks for coming by and saying hey.
New construction question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
How do you prep for that? I have a buyer that wants to go look at Mattamy on Wednesday, and I'm trying to prepare myself and what questions I should be asking, because I know it's one of those, I'll be there throughout the whole process, and I'm looking for a photographer to do in the event they do plan to purchase, I'm looking for a photographer to do I don't know what it's called specifically, but it's where they take pictures of the all the electrical outlets and shows, an internal behind the wall.
Matterport?
What is it?
I think it's like a Matterport where it does the different layers.
Different layers where if I need to, put a nail somewhere, exactly where there's a stud and all that stuff. So
I've never heard of a program doing that, but I imagine Matterport could do something like that. I've just always gone out there myself with the clients and had them take pictures of stuff.
We had somebody that come to the KLP office during one of our meetings, and they actually, it's a camera built it's like a 3D camera, 4D camera that actually shows you where everything's at inside the walls. But it's when everything is built up before they put drywall on. I don't know what camera they're using or what type of software they're going to use, but I didn't know if anybody has heard of that.
I'll ask Heather and Cindy. They may know, but I haven't seen a presentation like that.
So what do I need to do to prepare for my Wednesday buyers buying new construction, or do I just kind of be there?
Yeah, just be there. The questions I would ask: what current promos are you running? What kind of incentives do you have for their using your financing versus their own? And can we get a reduced lot premium?
And ask them if they would take those pictures for where the electrical wires and stuff is.
No, it was one of those things where if they do new construction, I would pay for that for them.
I hadn't heard that.
Anything else?
Dan, on day 10, I'm worried about, so I know the Binzer is due. Do I also have to give a loan status update? And I know you told me to have Keller Mortgage guy sign the TRID form, and I did, but he didn't fill anything out. So I don't know what else I need to have done by day 10 other than my Binzer.
Yeah, I saw the notification that he signed it, but I didn't look at the form itself. He didn't fill out anything? Okay.
The only stuff filled out is what I filled out.
So your loan status update, and if you read the contract and you do your date mapping, you'll know that the loan status update needs to be delivered within 10 days.
So that is due.
Yes. And that, my friends, is 2K. If you haven't noticed, I wrote down the date and the section of the contract. So 2K for your loan contingency is that the appraisal contingency is 5 days, changes the contract, loan applications. No, so that's any changes to the loan. I wrote it down wrong. And LSU is, I wrote it, there is definitely one is 3 days prior to close of escrow and within 10 days. So any LSU needs to be delivered in 10 days and any changes to lending type.
So how do I get that LSU?
Ask the
Keller Mortgage guy.
Keller Mortgage to get an LSU. They should have a state specific LSU. If not, let's send them one. Go into forms, standalone form.
Do you go into your Keller Mortgage portal to check your client's information and all that? Maybe it would have it there.
Yeah, there is an AAR form inside. That's a loan status update form, and that's what they're going to need to fill out. So it's the same pre-qual front page, it looks like, and just LSU. So I'll send this to you right now, Robin.
Okay.
And send it directly to the loan officer and ask them to please fill it out and send back.
Okay.
I had a lender who said, oh, I do all these deals in Arizona and I've never had to do an LSU. And so I dropped the contract on him and
Yeah,
I said, this is what it says. You will get it to me.
Yeah, I do the same thing with the LSU and pre-quals because I've had agents that say, you don't need a pre-qual. Yeah, I do. And your pre-qual better match the sales price.
Yeah.
So if you guys have a deeply discounted LSU or a pre-qual because they're trying to show that they only qualify for 200 but the house is 225 and they agreed at 225, get an updated pre-qual. Nancy and Wendy, our new broker for KLP, are starting to ask for that in the files. So. All right, guys, two minutes over. I'm sure I'll find a way to give you 2 minutes of your life back. So if you need anything, call me, text me. I'll see you in the mornings. Join into the scripts and role play, guys, the best you can. That's one of the 5 jobs of real estate agent is scripting and role playing. All right. Don't forget about the first one. Lead gen.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.